All right, how you guys doing? Well, I'm in my new place again. This time I'm not using the green screen. I just have it kind of blown out white behind me. You can see there's kind of a closet back here. Yeah, I'm a closet case. This is. I hope my microphone's working. Let me know if you can hear me okay. It looks like it's reading pretty well. The levels are up into the yellow here. But let me know if I'm too quiet. Um, yep, boom, I'm in this big, huge webcam. Hi. What's going on, Jason? Yep, hey, Steven. Yeah, it looks like, yeah, it's like all Apple. I should get like a paper, something that's completely white behind me. Then I'd look like one of those Apple ads, right? So, what else? What else? Yeah, I got this new webcam uh, on an Amazon Prime Day sale. It's really, really cool. Okay, syncing and levels are okay. Thank you so much, guys. Okay, so let's get to it. I know it's been a while. What? Yeah, my life's been chaos. So, uh, I'm into my new place. Well, I should say my temporary new place. This is a 3 month gig. Um, and I'm just here in this apartment, not apartment. It's rent. We're renting a home here in Utah, and it's going to be kind of a just a 3 month long deal till my house gets built. And I'm super excited. We went down there yesterday and checked it out. It looks like it's going pretty well. Um, and the interrogation room. That's funny. Um, so anyway, I talked to Brendon, and he gave me some feedback. This has been a while ago because we haven't streamed for a while. So this is what he said, and I just want to address these few little hiccups before we move on. Um, and I'm kind of like I said, I'm kind of using Brendon as a pseudo art director slash technical art director. So oh, thanks, Angelo. Yeah, it's a little better than I think my dark office because there is natural light right behind my monitor. There's a big monitor right here that's kind of widescreen, and natural light windows behind there. And it'll be the same in my new place, so I'll have natural light window in front of me. So should be good. All right. Um, so basically, this he sent me a PDF with some images. He used to give feedback to outsourcing a lot in one of his jobs, so he was used to giving feedback. But one of the feedbacks he was saying is this rivet is sticking off of the surface of the gauntlet there, which there's a gap here, which is a great thing to point out because I've seen it a lot on a lot of student models too. So it's just I love to share the process with you because even though I've been in the industry for 20 years, it's still a process. It's not me on an island getting zero feedback. There's always a feedback loop, always. So I wanted to kind of pull someone in to kind of show that feedback loop, and so you guys can see how it works, especially with Blizzard. That the Blizzard feedback loop was probably the craziest I've ever had to deal with. Um, hey, what's up, Sean? So meaning that I would get pages and pages and pages of feedback from them, which was great. I love it because what that does is it makes me a better artist, and it allows me to kind of see how their team works. And essentially, all the feedback they were giving me was make it look more like Overwatch, and this is how. So um, it was just most of their feedback was in like edge sharpness and things like that. And there's one thing I wanted to say about feedback. Don't When you get feedback from a professional or even another student for that matter, it's not very wise to defend your work. Meaning, it's really tough because artwork is personal. Okay, so it's kind of like putting yourself out there, right? It's like this is my personal work. I'm putting it out there, and you can explain. This is why I did this or this is why I did that, but try not to be too defensive and just say, especially if it's an art director that is actually directing the thing, and he's like, well, you need to change this. You can say, well, I did it this way because of this, but you'll still need to change it regardless, because he's the art director or she's the art director, and they're directing this thing and making it look the way they need it to look. Or if an art director says it a certain way, or you can't. There is a certain level of debate that you can have with the art director depending on your relationship with that art director. If they're really, really high up in some kind of film and they're just getting paid tons of money, you don't really debate with them. You just go, okay, and you do it, right? So it's getting feedback is kind of an interesting thing, and receiving feedback, and I've actually done it myself, where it's like, this project has just gone on way, way, way too long, and I'm just like, oh, I don't want any more feedback. I just want to move on. And then I get kind of snippy with the art director. I got snippy one time, and it like kind of ruined my not ruined, but it put a little tick on my relationship with this certain art director, because I was just in a bad mood and kind of grumpy, and it's like you just kind of have to hold it in and not be that person that is snippy. So because it can really work against you. Also, if you're defensive about your work, then there's a good possibility that on the next project they're going to kind of say, well, this person doesn't take feedback very well, so we're not going to extend his contract or her contract. So just be that, yes, thank you for the feedback, I will see what I can do, that kind of thing. So Angelo, yes, I did see the Overwatch character with his long toes hanging out. I don't know, I want to try and play him and see how he plays, but I don't know about that design. I'm not a really huge fan of that design. It's a really kind of the story behind him. He doesn't have a really strong story for me. Like the latest character, like Ash and the Butler, that was a really good design. I love the hamster design, is really cool. But this guy is kind of like, I don't know what it's trying to say, So we'll see how his personality is, and maybe his voice acting, his animation will bring it all together. But we'll see how that goes. Okay. Anyway, so that's kind of what I wanted to say about feedback and reacting to it. So, all right. Let's see. So he's also saying that these bolts have too many polygons, and I agree with him. There's too much there. You don't need that much detail on those things. And then the edge flow of the wrist area is a little weird and would cause some strange artifacts, which is totally true. And it'd be better to have clean edge loops through here. Feel free to hide or have some triangles in the wristband area, as there would be less animation there. Okay, so he's talking about just right through here and right here. Okay, so it's talking about this and this, and well, this first image is just talking about that gap, but the second image is talking about try and rework the edge flow, because his wrist is going to be doing this, right? And since it has some weird quads right there, it's going to crimp and crumple. So it's I totally overlooked it, and I'm glad he pointed it out. So what I would do, instead of fixing this inside of ZBrush, so we have him in ZBrush, and you can see the problem area right through here, how that quad does not flow across through the wrist. You always want to look for 3 parallel lines going through any joint, and I've talked about that before, and I obviously did not do that. Here, I'm going to draw it right here. I didn't do that on him. Okay, so basically he's got some lines, and they're going up like this, and then these lines are crossing and going up like this. That's just bad. What the heck's going on? So I need to fix this so the flow goes through the wrist like this. Okay, that's it. And no, sorry, I could fix this in Maya. I completely could. But instead, I actually I uninstalled Maya because it was It was filling my hard drive. I had 3 versions of Maya installed because Blizzard was using Maya 2016 version 2 or something like that. So I'm actually going to go back to 3D Coat and just redo this because it's just easier that way. Just come in here and delete these polygons out and just redraw through here. Not a big deal. Okay, so yeah, or rebuild the quads and stuff through here. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. So I'm actually going to carry this through. I want to delete the polygons through here as well. And we'll just straighten some of these out. But you could totally take this into a box modeling program. I call it box modeling. Some people get mad at me. Traditional modeling, whatever you want to call it. Polygon modeling. You could take it into Blender, 3D Studio Max, Silo, Modo, any of those, and you could get it to work. So, okay, I want to just, I'm going to add a few more faces through here. Not a triangle. Just to get that wrist flow working a little bit better. And I want to fix this too, just so I can continue that flow up through. Sorry, Steven. I could take it to Blender if I knew it better. I really wish. I'm learning it right now. I'm teaching it to myself right now, so you don't have to hold your breath too much longer. Is there a way to straighten the UV island once you pack them if you want them straightened? Yes, there is. You can just click on a single UV island and just click the do the straighten just on that one piece, and it should do it. So I actually had to do that with Zenyatta. Okay, I'm going to delete this one too. This whole area kind of needs to be reworked a little bit. Okay. And it's just easier. I could take it into quad draw inside of Maya, which is fine. Yeah, you have options. Okay, you definitely have options. I'm gonna delete this one too because we're gonna take this flow right through here. See where this one ends right there, and this one ends right there. I'm just gonna continue that flow through here. All right. And sorry, I'm still doing topology. I was hoping we could move on to UVs by now, but that's kind of the nature of the beast sometimes. You just got to keep working on it until it's right. Okay, I'm going to add that triangle back. Okay, so I have this. The wrist is going through there. That's fine. That'll work. I'm going to make this a triangle and this a quad. Okay, and then I'll pull this one down a little bit. Okay. Let's see. Then I'll just I'm going to put some triangles in here. Definitely quad that one out. I'm still not a fan of it's just kind of a mess in here, you know? Because this side is so clean and nice, and then this one just kind of ends in a mess. Because of, I think it's because of this overlapping flap is making extra geometry come down through here. So it's kind of causing some messy things going on. But I think this is okay. It's better than it was for sure. There you go. Okay, I'll buy that. I'll buy that for $1. That's what's, I don't know why people say that, but hey. Okay, so that was an easy fix. Just kind of reflow those through there. So if you do get some feedback from your art director, technical director, rigging department, animators, whatever, just always, that's why I always save my 3D coat files in case I need to go back, or like some of you said, you can go forward with it by just saying, taking it into Maya and doing it that way. So during your failed bout with Retopo, I tried Retopo Flow with Blender, bit crashy in 2.7. I have not messed with that too much yet, but I would like to. That sucks that it's crashy. That's not good. Okay, I'm gonna save this. Ismail, let's see, you got a question. Maybe it needs a bit of unboxing, but what would be a reasonable amount of hours to deliver a ready to rig game character? Yeah, that's a really, really big question, because characters have all sorts of different levels of detail to them. They can be completely complex or very, very simple, and it just depends on how detailed the character is. So in general, we would deliver an Infinity character in 4 weeks, ready to rig. So it's just, but that's so obscure, because like I did Randall from Monsters Inc. and I busted him out in like a few days. So because he was just so simple, he's just kind of this thing, and I retopped him really fast, and he was ready to go in a couple days. So it just completely depends on the character. Okay, let's see. I need to export Retopo. Let's see. Yeah. As an OBJ, and I'm going to call it arm. Let's see. Yeah, arms again. I'm going to call it arms 2, just so I can have that old one in case I need it. Okay, and it also depends on your skill level. It depends on, like I said, how much detail the character has. Like the character level of, the detail level of characters that Brendon does for Crystal Dynamics is way, way much higher than what we did for Infinity, and he takes like 2 months to do those characters. You've seen him, well, maybe if you have seen him streaming on his own Twitch channel, or ZBrush, the ZBrush Twitch channel, you've seen how long it takes him to do his stuff, and it's just so detailed. So yeah, so if I needed to make sirloin for a 9-to-5 job, how long would you get? So well, this is episode 25, and I've been doing this for 2 hours an episode, so far it's been 50 hours. And we can just add it all up, but that is me talking through it. So if I were just to concentrate, put my headphones on, listen to some good music, and just crank it out, it would probably be around 30 to 40 hours rather than 50 hours right now, getting us to this point. Yeah, it's a really, really difficult question, because there are so many variables. So all I can kind of do is show you, yeah, that's 50 hours with instruction and stopping and talking and, doing all this stuff that we're doing. So, okay, let's grab these arms low here. I'm going to insert a star. Okay, we're going to insert this star, and then import the hands. Student live stream, OBJs, arms 2. Okay, so here they are, and that has the new flow going on through here, and we're gonna mirror it, and then mirror and weld it, and there we go. We can hit Control W to stick it in a poly group that's not white. Okay, so that's the first one done. Yeah, we've had some pretty chatty streams. I mean, I like when I started out this stream, we talked about getting receiving and acting with feedback. Man, I can't talk today. Yeah. Responding to feedback. Okay, so there's that note addressed. Okay, so this note is done. I still need to reduce the poly count on these rivets here. No, I'm doing this live stream so you can ask questions. I love it. Don't feel like you can't ask questions. Oh, I should have looked at this other feedback because this is still on the hand. Okay, so right here. Now this is from, I think this crumpleness right here, the crumple that's happening right here is from projecting inside of 3D or inside of ZBrush. You know how you can project the low onto the high. So yeah, this I think I want to check it out and see what he's talking about, the crumpleness. And I think he's talking about something that crumpled like right in here after I projected. And it looks like there's multiple faces. Yeah, something's happening right here that I need to fix. Can you guys see that pit? See that face that's giving an issue? Let's see. Let's say 30 to 40 hours to get here, but in a 9 to 5 day, are you able to be as productive as you are in 2-hour intensive sessions? Yeah. With 8-hour sessions, usually you're focused down for, because it's more like 10-hour days rather than 8-hour days most of the time. Sometimes it's 8-hour days. It just depends on the intensity and how, also the pressure of the deadlines, how fast you have to get it done. Sometimes when you're first starting out, it's quite lackadaisical, so you can, it might take you longer to get a character done. Sometimes you might be in research and development mode where you're trying to figure out a design. For example, when we were trying to figure out the look and feel for Disney Infinity, we used Mr. Incredible, and that one character took 4 months to do because we kept iterating and doing it again and doing it again, and it just went on forever and ever and ever. But once we got kind of the look down, then it became faster and faster and faster. So then the characters, by the end of the process of Disney Infinity 3, we were turning those around very quickly because we knew exactly the process and what we had to do. So we would also we would outsource some of the characters as far as the retopology and stuff like that. So that would speed us up because we would have another department or another team working on the retopology while we were doing the high res. And so that freed us up to focus more on the art and less on the tech side of things. Yeah, that was really nice. But okay, so for this, I want to look in 3D Coat and see if I can see that happening over here as well. Whoops. So it looks like you can kind of see a face. I don't know if you can see, there's a little tiny line sticking through right here. So I'm going to delete, see that? It's a quad rather than a triangle. So I'm going to delete that and then fill it back in. There we go. Okay. So that was an issue that was causing problems. So let's save this again. Save. And export this again. Export retopo object, arms 2. Now, since I don't need to do the star again because I know I want to replace, it's going to replace any geometry that's in that subtool. Okay, so I can just replace these arms with the new one. So I'm going to hit import, grab arms 2, and it just kind of stomps the old one out and replaces it with that new one. Let's check that triangle up underneath there. It looks good. There's no weird hole happening anymore. Let's check it all. Another way you can check it is to turn on dynamic subdivisions like this. And dynamic subdivisions will definitely tell you if there's mesh issues. Like it will just be crumpled weird, right? Hey James, yeah, I got rid of my green screen. I still have it behind me and I can still key it out, but Yeah, there's no, I got rid of the green screen and now it's like this, it's my white closet behind me. All right. Do you guys like this better? Is this, not that it matters too much, but okay. So now I just kind of want to come in here and I can clean up and straighten these edges. 3D Coat doesn't do really nice clean edges. So sometimes I'll just go through and clean these up a little bit. And you got to be careful because you don't want to push any of the points outside of the projection envelope that we're going to be doing when we do the map baking. So you just kind of got to be careful. But I do see how these are on. It's giving me a different bend along that bevel. So I just want to make sure it's nice and straight. Make sure this is nice and straight down here. But I always try to get, I don't like 90-degree changes, so I always like to pull them out just so they'll capture the bevels a little bit better. Yeah, I like that too, Sean, but sometimes when you have triangles, it doesn't always look the best, but because it'll give you these little poles, but it's okay. But you can go and it's fun because you can come along here and crease these areas and just help it along. Now, someone was having issues baking maps because their model had creases, but it's and I wanted to bring it up because there's two different types of creases. There is hard and soft edges, which are this, for example, this is all hard edges. This is being shown in ZBrush in all hard edges. And inside of Blender, Maya, whatever, those other programs, what you can do is you can display your mesh as soft edges. And it will basically interpolate between all these edges and make them smooth. And that is essentially where you want to be with your model when you do baking. And you can have a mixture of hard and soft edges. It kind of comes from days of old when we didn't have creasing, we didn't have dynamic subdivisions, we didn't have normal maps. All we had was hard and soft edges. So what the problem with that though now in this kind of a pipeline is map baking with normal maps and ambient occlusion maps and things like that. They will take those hard and soft edges into consideration when it bakes your maps to your mesh, your low resolution mesh. So if you have any hard edges, it might give you issues. So what happened with this student that posted it on the community, or I think it was Discord, that was having these issues, his entire mesh was hard edge smoothed. And you can't tell that the whole thing is hard edge smoothed inside of ZBrush because ZBrush does not support it. So you can't tell. The only way you can tell is to bring it into another program like Maya or I don't know if Marmoset displays them. I can't remember. I think it does. But some program that will support the display of them. So, and that's really a problem with ZBrush because when you want to keep them, say if you're doing a low resolution model and you want to use those hard edges to help support your normal maps, when you bring it into ZBrush, ZBrush will kill them. It'll just delete them. It would like they were never on there to begin with. So then when you export your model back out and you go to Maya or something like that, all of your soft and hard edges are just gone. So it's, yeah. Right, Mark? Thanks. Okay, do you guys like the black background with my characters behind me better? When I get to my new office, what I was thinking about doing is kind of going a lighter white with natural light, but doing little tiny shelves that are about this deep up on the wall and putting my characters on there and letting the characters get lit by natural light and yeah, just a lot of color on the wall instead of just black with color. It'd be white with color, but Anyway, okay. Yeah, Elfie, it's very much puzzling. Retopo is puzzling for sure. Okay, so let's get back to this. Sorry, I get on these tangents because I'm like, oh, I should tell them about this. Okay. But the thing is, when I tell you about it in this like student-only live stream, it just gets stuck here. Like when I was describing the teeth during the last episode, it kind of gets stuck in the information gets stuck inside of the student-only live stream and doesn't get cataloged for you to go back and look at later. So I need to figure out how to get those out into actual lessons so you can go back and search for them and find them and talk about this information. Okay, so here we go. Here's the hands. We should be good with that. All right. So let's look at his feedback again. Okay, so here's another one that was caused by projection. So when you do a project all and you project your low to snap to your high resolution mesh inside of ZBrush, sometimes the points will just miss and they'll get projected to the thing below it, or something like that. And that is exactly what happened with these 2 points on this strap on the top of the boot. They got squished down somehow, for some reason. So we need to go back and fix those. So that was a good catch. And that is exactly what happened with these right here. I need to just, I want to look at it one more time just to make sure I'm not missing anything. Make sure I'm seeing what he is seeing. Okay. Yeah, that's looking okay. I'm not going to project it this time. I'm just going to leave it as it is and trust that it'll be within the envelope. Allison, that is indeed true. I've been actually really focusing in on how people are making game resolution hair inside of games and how they're doing it. I've been playing. I've been researching. Let's call it researching. I've been researching this cute little game called My Time in Portia, I think it's called, or My Time. It's got an interesting name, but it's got these really cute little characters that are very they're hand painted. Maybe I'll show them to you later in the stream, but they're hand painted characters, and the hair is kind of like hair cards, but it's all in one chunk. And it's interesting because they have a character builder, so you can go in and you can build your characters. And what they've done is they've gone in and they've put bones in the hair, so it'll actually respond to running around and these just light physics. And what's interesting is inside the character creator you can make the hair long or short, and essentially what they're doing is there's a bone inside the hair, and the bone makes the hair longer or shorter as you adjust the little slider. So it's just kind of interesting. You guys. Okay, so let's go back and let's look at these feet. Okay, and I also need to address I still need to address the rivets, and I'm probably all the rivets along here, and but right now I just want to kind of focus on, yeah, see these got flattened somehow, so let's pull them back out. That's not good. And you just kind of have to watch for that when you do project all to make sure that doesn't happen. Excuse me. Okay. That looks better. All right. Just kind of clean up some of these edges along here. Project all sometimes will make your mesh kind of crumple. See how it's just kind of making the lines kind of jig and jag a little bit more. And so it's nice if you can go through and just kind of straighten them up a little bit. Just kind of look for the flow and just fix any jiggities. Jiggity jiggity. And this is just part of the polish phase because you want to hand the rigging department something that you're super proud of, that's really clean, that they're going to have a good time rigging. If you can get your rigging department as excited about your character as you were modeling it, then the rig's gonna be better, which in turn is gonna make the animation better, you know, etc., etc. So on down the line. We'll put the Character Workshop logo on the wall. Yeah, I could do that. This big old... and then replace the bear with me. I'm just like, meh. Alright. Okay, so I'm feeling good about those boots now. They look pretty good now. Fixed. Okay. Let's take a look at those rivets. And what I want to try and do, let's see if I can cheat a little bit. Okay, they're hollow on the back. What I think I can do with these is, and I don't know if it's possible, but I want to reconstruct subdiv. Okay, that worked. So there you go. There's lower resolution rivets. And the reason why that worked is because they were built with quads this way and they were subdivided once. So now I can just delete higher and we're good to go. Okay. And I can do that same thing on these rivets here. Just do a reconstruct subdiv and that's going to lower them. Delete higher and we're good to go. I just want to make sure that these rivets are buried and there's not a gap. So I'm going to have to go through these right here and just pull down the little points and make sure they're just kind of buried. There's not any gaps in between the leather and the rivet. And this is being mirrored, I guess. So I only have to do half the work, but... So it looks like they're buried on this side already. It's just this side that's giving me problems. This one's a little skewed. And then this is buried, or I need to bury this one here. I could, so here's another thing that I could do with the background. Maybe you guys can help me out. So our wonderful friend and helper, Scott Briscoe, he designed a, well, so I'm going to the Lightbox Expo. Okay, and Lightbox Expo, if you guys don't know, it's kind of a CTN replacement. CTN is, I shouldn't say replacement, I should say alternative. So if you don't want to go to CTN, you can go to the Lightbox Expo. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the reasons why Lightbox Expo exists now. But essentially, this is the first time I'm going to have a booth at any sort of expo ever. And it's going, so if you can make it, it's the beginning of September. Let's see here. And Bobby Chu, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a fantastic illustrator. Bobby Chu put this together. So here it is, September 6th through the 8th. And I'll be there with a booth and I'm gonna make a big banner that goes behind me. So I might just bring that banner home and stick it behind me here. That might be kind of cool. So yeah, under who's coming, if you go to, there's tons and tons of artists coming. It's the place to be. But if you look at exhibitors, lo and behold, here we are. Yay! And when I named the 3D Character Workshop, I didn't really realize that a number would put me in front of all the A's in alphabetical order. So it's funny because I'm always the first one. And I'm also sponsoring the ZBrush Summit this year again. And if you go there, the same kind of thing. Let's see, so if you go to sponsors, there you go, we're right here. And the logo's kind of de-resed for some reason, but right in front of the A's, which is kind of cool. So it's like, since we're 3D Character Workshop, we're the first ones listed. It's a lot of fun. It's you know what? I could do some live streams for you guys if you want. If you want to, I'll walk around the floor and show you guys the booth and stuff like that. It'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, happy little accident for sure. So this is it's in California. That's where it's being held, is in California. So it's yeah, these are all the advisory commission. Oh, that's cool. Ryan Lang, and this is my buddy Justin Goby Fields. Very cool. Steven Silver is going to be there. So it's in Pasadena, California. I wish. So the one that's closest to Europe, Dana, is the Trojan Horse, the THU Expo. I don't know exactly where that's located, but I think that's closer to you. I would love to go to THU sometime, but for now, this is what I get. Okay. Oh, this is one more for the arm, sort of. It's part of the chainmail. So this one, yep, time for somebody to come up with a 2D character workshop. Curses. Okay, so he wanted me to put in some topology that would support an elbow right here. So we're going to do that, and I think I might try and do that inside of ZBrush. We'll try and see if we can do that. Also, he mentioned the shoulder pad, the shoulder hat, whatever you want to call it, going into the armor right here. I'm just going to pull that out a little bit. And if I do that, I have to pull out both the high res and the low res to match. So whenever you make large adjustments, like moving things, make sure you adjust both the high and the low. And you can actually do that with the posing tool inside of ZBrush. So anyway, that's it. That's the last thing to address, is just putting the elbow topology on the back there. So that's the last bit of feedback from him. The 1D character workshop. Okay, so, let's see. I don't know why my arms disappeared. Let's get these visible again. And then I need to adjust that rivet to make sure it's sunk down inside of that hand. Okay. I'm just going to kind of pull it down. This one got skewed a little bit because it's kind of high there, but we'll deal with it. Now, with these rivets, kind of a cool thing is you can share the UVs on them because they're all shaped the same. Even if they're a little skewed and they're not perfectly matching with everything, you can share the UVs, and that's what we'll do with all of these rivets. It'll just be one rivet on the UV map, and there'll be a big stack, like a stack of cards. I'm going to put all the rivets stacked on top of each other, so then it will use up less UV space. Which is what's cool about that, is you can, if you cram all of the rivets into one UV space, what that allows you to do is scale them up, so it will give them more texel density or more texture space, and it will yeah, it will just make them look nicer. So, hey, what's up, Overton? How's it going? Sean Olsen. You have to spell Olsen O-L-S-E-N for that guy. That evil guy. It's like Luigi, right? Why would you need the topology for the elbows but not the knees? Now, it's tricky, Elfie. I think this is something where it's more of Brendon's personal taste coming in as far as the elbows are concerned. I could put them around the knees as well, but my knee-jerk reaction. Okay, but my knee-jerk reaction is I feel because the elbows can bend a lot more, and they bend a lot more often than knees do. So with legs and knees, he's probably not going to be doing like deep knee bends or anything like that. So, you know, I don't think it would break it too much. Also, maybe he's also reacting to how this is not as dense. There are fewer polys right here, so just to kind of give it a little bit more detail in here. And there's a really easy way to give it some more polys with ZModeler. And I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to put it right on these four. Okay, so I'm going to grab the ZModeler. We're going to hover over this, hit poly group, a single poly, and I'm just going to tap. We're going to make his elbows pink. Okay, I just want to make sure they're going to line up. I'm looking at where those elbows are going to line up, and I think that's a good spot. Now what we can do is do an inset, and we're going to do inset region, center, and border. We're going to try this and see what happens here. I need to do polygroup all. There we go. And that's essentially what I think he's looking for. Now what we can do is just kind of move the polys around to support the circular elbow thing. You know, the circular idea of an elbow. Just kind of move it around here. And then we could, yeah, he could squat for sure, but I mean, I could definitely make, just for consistency, do this exact same thing down on the knees, but the knees have a band, like a leather band that's running through there. So I'll have to look at it and see. But this is just to kind of support it. And I can hit Control W to put them all in the same poly group, so. What? Okay, so let's see. Let's look at his knees, where they're going to be, right here. And right here. You know what, I probably could. Let's do it. Why not? So let's do poly group, single poly. We're going to go bump, 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 like that. And go back to inset. It still remembers my inset settings. Polygroup all, center and border. Inset regions. Region. There we go. And now that's, I think that might help, you know. It's not going to hurt, that's for sure. So we can just kind of push these out so it's a little rounder. Just got to be careful. You don't want to accidentally push them too far in when you're adjusting them like that, or too far out and changing that silhouette. So there we go. He's got knees. Knees. Yeah, Steven. It's so, what is the word for it? Some people put them in, some people don't. 99% of the time I don't, but since Brendon asked for them, I want to put them in. So, and I think the reason why I haven't in the past is because the rigging departments that I've worked with have not requested them, or the animators I've worked with have not requested them. So and I think that's due to kind of past gen consoles, and maybe the newer gen consoles, like I said, they support more polygons, and so we're worried about it a lot less than we used to be in the past, which is, he has square knees, kind of. I mean, they're all right. So if I hit subdivide, you can kind of see they're a little bit in there, but we're not going to be subdividing the low resolution mesh in the game engine anyway. So that's yeah, that's what he's going to look like here. And the normal maps and everything are going to take care of any of this surface change that's happening right here. You won't really see that in the normal maps, because it's gonna basically what happens with normal maps is it takes the difference between the high resolution mesh and the low resolution mesh and comes up with some sort of a map difference, like the difference between the two well, it's not to get too technical, but in the normals. So it's the difference between the two surface normals, and it's going to make it look like a high resolution map. So essentially what it does is it smooths out all of the low resolution kind of changes, and it'll make it look smooth. That's why we can get away with much lower resolution in those rivets and have but in the end they're going to look nice and smooth. And it's kind of fun to see. So, oh, you've always done that? Guess you're just spoiled with higher poly limits? Yeah, it just depends completely on the team and what you're working on. You know, maybe you go to put them in and they'd be like, why are you doing this? Why are you cutting this in? We don't have the polys to spare. And usually that's when that's going to happen is most likely on like a cell phone game or something like that. That's going to require much less polygon count, like a much lower polygon count. Okay. So let me get these the shoulder armor. I'm just going to pull them back out of here. Okay. So let's grab. Let me see where they're at. Okay, right here. Before I do this, I'm going to save it. Sirloin block out 30. We're up to 30. Okay. You thought the game characters were kind of turbo smooth? No, not at all, Elfie. Nope. Game engines do not support any kind of subdivision surfaces. But that being said, films do. So films like Pixar films, they will use Catmull Clark subdivision like you'll see inside of Blender. They will actually support that. So that's why film characters need to be all quads for the most part, because they will get smoothed at render time and they will use a displacement map rather than a normal map. And the displacement map will actually physically displace that geometry rather than a normal map that's faking the displacement of the geometry. So, looks like the sun went behind a cloud and it darkened me up. I'm just going to play with this. No, I'm not going to play with it. I was going to say I can crank the exposure up a little bit. Boop. That's what you get with realistic light. Well, with natural light, is the sun can move and change over the course of 2 hours. Okay. So, now I'm just going to hit T-pose mesh. Okay, and now we have this mesh, and I'm just going to hide. Oh, you know what? I didn't unhide the pauldrons. Never mind. Let's go back up. Up, 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 up. It's going to take longer to go up than it was to go down. I don't know why I call it up and down when I do posing, but that's what But I need to show the high resolution pauldrons so I can move them both at the same time. I forgot to do that. Okay. So let's show those guys. There they are. Okay, now let's T-pose mesh them again. That should be fast. Okay. Now, and I could essentially hide everything but the pauldrons, but I'm not going to. Okay. So I'm just going to use the move brush, use a big brush, and just kind of pull this out. Just so it kind of, there we go. So it comes out away from that armor as much as possible. Yeah, realistic light, right, guy? Oh my gosh. That's so realistic. Okay, move this over. Oh goodness, you know what I didn't do? I didn't turn on symmetry before I started doing that. Like a dummy. Okay. I could just do the mirror thing, but since there are two meshes occupying the same space, I'd rather just kind of roll it back and adjust it that way. Okay. There we go. Well, that's kind of a little too far. A little too far. Let's try that. Perfect. Okay, like it. So what makes the low-res game characters look smooth in the game? Like earlier in this stream, I was talking about smooth versus hard edges. And like you can make edges smooth and you can make them hard, the normals hard inside of a program like Blender or Maya or 3D Studio Max. ZBrush does not support it. It always shows its meshes as being all hard edges, and that's what we're seeing here. So you see these faceted edges. So if you were to take this into, say, Blender, and you can turn on smooth edges, and all of those hard edges will go away, and it will look kind of subdivided. It will look sort of subdivided, but it won't. It will still have the silhouette of the low resolution mesh. So yeah, I'll have to show that to you sometime. But okay, we're gonna go back up. Yeah, but look for hard and smooth edges. It's not creasing. Now creasing is something completely different. It's hard and smooth edge normals is what it is. And it's essentially so each face has 4 normals in its corners. Well, actually it has 2 normals along each edge of each side, and those normals face a direction, and basically it will smooth those together so it won't look like it's hard edged anymore. And a lot of the ways that game engines will kind of display hard edges is they will actually separate those 2 edges away from each other in the game. So inside of a 3D program, they'll be welded together, but inside of the game engine, they'll actually be physically split. They'll still be rigged the same way, so they won't come apart when the character's running, but essentially they will just split where that hard edge is. It's kind of hard to explain, but anyway. Okay, so now we have our pauldrons ready to go, and I think we're ready to send this over for UVing finally. Finally. Okay. I just want to make sure we're mirrored. Let's do mirror and weld on this guy. Let's do one on this one. And this guy. And the rivets. It's just kind of doing one final mirror session just to make sure that we have everything perfectly symmetrical. Okay, and then let's check his eyes. Now his eyes are going to be on a different map. So I'm not too concerned about his eyes right now, because they're not going to go along and be on the same 0 to 1 UV space as the rest of him. They'll have their own texture sets. Okay. Yeah, they just kind of float on top. I kind of envision them being strapped to like a big strap that runs around underneath his armpit, but I would think it would be tucked up underneath this metal bowl of a chest thing. So I'm not really getting crazy realistic with him. If I was, I would probably split this chest piece down the center right here, and then put 2 leather straps strapping it together, so it would make sense how he would get in the thing. And I still might do that eventually, because with the shape language, if you think about it, you see these 2 straps down here. You could duplicate the strap look from these 2 and mimic them again, or duplicate them again up there, so they look like, you know, they're made of the same material. You kind of want to look for that kind of stuff. So, but just for the ease of speed and things like that, I'm not going to do that. But I would think if we were in production, I was talking to the art director, I was talking to Todd, the guy who originally made this, I might bring it up. I might say, hey Todd, what do you think about, you know, actually splitting this down the sides and putting leather straps there so it looks like he could put it on and it would work. that kind of thing. So that might be something I would suggest. Also, with this chainmail, I don't know yet until we get into substance, but I think I might be able to find a smart material that we can use in place of the chainmail that I built inside of ZBrush, because I'm not the biggest fan of the high resolution chainmail that I came up with here with nanomesh, because it's just not, it's the rings aren't interlocking how I would like them to be, and the size of them changes, and the closeness of them changes as it gets stretched across everything, which is kind of realistic. The chains would move and compress and stuff, you know, in different areas, just like cloth would. But I was thinking about, you know, using the UV maps and using maybe a substance material to replace this whole section. We'll see once we get in there. I'm going to bake it as it is, so maybe we can use it as it is, but we'll see. Back to Manoa again. Okay, so now that we have this, now we're good. I'm going to save it again. Save as. Save it back out. Okay, so I have addressed his feedback. I would probably send this to him one more time and just say, okay, is this what you're talking about? Does this look good? And one thing he did say that I didn't address, now that I'm thinking about it though, is the boots right here. Okay, so he says, make sure the back of the shoulder pads aren't clipping through. We just did that. Add more edge loops in the elbow. Okay, he's talking about this one. Okay, so it may be better to have a little more flat contact area on the bottom front of the boot too. So I think he's talking about how the toe kicks up. And these transitions are a little funky. We fixed that. Okay, so let's go back here. And yeah, okay, I see what he's saying. I probably should have fixed that in the while we had him in pose mode, but so the only part that's touching on this boot right now is just this little section right here, and it's not very flat. So let me go in and go. I want to show the high resolution boot because we're going to move them both together. Where are you, boot? Okay, legs strap, legs high. Come on. There it is, and then boot straps. Oh, we gotta save the project. Okay. I don't need those. These. Okay, this is what I'm looking for. Is the sole of the boot. Okay, so this is what I'm looking for. Let's hide this. Okay, so now we can actually hide this too. We don't need that. We just need the sole because we're gonna make this sole flat. Maybe I'll show them just in case. Okay. All right, Allison, thanks for hanging out. Okay, let's go back down into T-pose mesh. Okay, and now I want to move all these together. So I'm not going to turn on topological because that'll mess things up. But I just want to kind of scoot these around and make them flatter. And more surface, like Brendon said, more surface, flat surface touching before the toe kicks up. Just some little, super little tweakage. I can even like go like this. Oh, you know what that means. Again, I don't know why it doesn't leave symmetry on. When you go down into your T-pose, it always gets me. Another gotcha. Oh, come on. Okay. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Okay. Let's do this again. And have any of you watched the stylized anatomy stuff yet? Have you had a chance? I'm just wondering what, besides some of the people have given me feedback about what you think so far, and if you like the style. And I know there's a couple things I've missed with it that I want to address, but okay, that's more. You're starting to see primitive eye sockets in everybody. Yeah. You guys like it? Okay, cool. Very cool. Well, thank you. I'm glad. I'm so glad. I've been wanting to do it forever and ever. Love the head ones. Cool. There's more to come. The mouth one is done. I just need to upload it. Okay. Daryl, I know this is a student-only live stream and not a Q&A session, but just letting you know, I just sent you out a character that you were talking about. Okay. Yeah, I'll take a look. So, like I said, I can't wait to, you said now you see eye sockets in everyone. I can't wait for kind of the demo after I'm all done talking about the head and all the things to look for. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a variety of very, very different heads and show you what to look for, and kind of explain to you, like show you, say, see, here's this landmark, here's how the jaw is ending in front of the ear, here's this little triangle I'm talking about, all that kind of stuff, and point them out on a variety of different characters so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But because even though there are characters that are completely exaggerated, they still live in the same universe, so to speak. They still follow the guidelines for the most part and that kind of stuff. So, and thanks so much for your testimonial, Overton. That made my day yesterday. That was awesome. I like how you said babyfy it. That's funny. Okay, that's good. That's enough tweaking. Oh, thanks, Sean. That means a lot, man. Okay. I can't watch TV or take to anyone face to face without studying landmarks. Yes. I've done it. When I was working on Lightning McQueen, when I was looking at car creases, now I can't look at a car without seeing how a crease goes down the body of the car, and then how they like feathered that crease out and where it ends, and then the new ones begin and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I know how I would do that. That kind of stuff. Yep, poke your face. Stop it. Stop poking my face. Okay, so let's hide these boots. I hope that's enough to flatten that out. I think so. And I'm just going to use the clip brush, this clip curve, to just kind of clip this flat. There we go. And another thing you can do is you can mask this off, invert it, and then you can actually pull the points down to the clip line. So if you go in this direction, here I'll do it in an extreme scenario so you can see what I'm talking about. So see the faded side of the line? It's going to bring everything that's not masked and pull it down to the dotted line like that. See that? Now he's got Kiss boots on. So basically what I'm looking to do is pull those points down just to make them a little more flat right there. I probably went too crazy with it, but it's looking all right. Okay. And I can just lightly smooth these just to break that line out a little bit. You're like, yeah. Stop it. Get away from me. Okay, we're good to go. Save this again. All right, and now, drum roll please. We're going to push this over to 3D coat and UV it finely. Okay, so I want to mirror and weld this one more time. Okay, the legs, and what we do here is we want to merge everything that's going to be on the same UV map. This is the way I do it. I also taught it in a way where you can export all the FBXs out piece by piece over to 3D coat as well. You can do it either way. I prefer to do it just a singular OBJ and then hide and show the pieces that way. So here we go. Let's do merge visible, and what that's going to do is that's going to merge everything that's visible into a brand new tool. Okay, let's see it. Yeah, you saw that's the body of Jessica Rabbit. Let's see. So now it's all in one tool. It doesn't matter if it has polygroups or not. And now we can export this. Make sure we hit this group button. Okay, and then we'll export this out as a OBJ for, I'm gonna overwrite this one, sirloin 4 UVs. Let's save this out and we'll go over to 3D coat. Now, really quickly, I just want to tell you about this. This Jessica Rabbit is one I'm working on for. Well, I did a live stream of her, and I still need to finish her up. But so Gary, this was drawn by Brian Kessinger, and he did a drawing that was a steampunk version of Jessica Rabbit. I loved the design. I really wanted to model it. And I'm seeing all sorts of problems I need to fix with it. But the original creator of Jessica Rabbit, his name's Gary K. Wolf, he saw the original Brian Kessinger drawing, and then I responded today on Facebook saying, hey, I'm trying to model this. And in response, he shared this, my model, and I'm like, wait, it's still work in progress, don't share it yet, but thank you very much. So now I feel like I'm pressured to finish it, but okay. Anyway, little side note there. Hey, what's up, Jose? Thanks. Yeah, this is just my temporary kind of, I don't want to say apartment. It's not an apartment, it's a house I'm renting. Okay, I'm not going to save this. Let's go File, Import, Per Pixel Painting, and sirloin 4 UVs. Okay, none of this matters because we're not exporting texture out of 3D Coat, so it doesn't really matter. Bring it in, go to UVs, and it automatically put UVs on him. That's why it made such a huge mess. So, okay, thanks. The groups are for your own convenience. You can always make them again if you need them. So if you want to get rid of them, you can. Absolutely. So I don't know if you're talking about polygroups or folders, but the same answer applies to both of those. So polygroups are temporary, and subtool or folders are temporary as well. So you can do whatever the heck you want with polygroups or any of those things. Yeah. Jose, so why do you choose 3D Coat over Maya's Quad Draw? Well, first of all, it's cheaper. It's the cost is cheaper unless you go subscription, I guess. But eventually, yeah, it's just cheaper. So that's one reason. The second reason is I just like the tools inside of 3D Coat a little bit better. The way it kind of shows and acts and does its thing, I like it a little bit better. I do like quad draw. I've done stuff with quad draw before. And as far as UVs are concerned, I really, really like the way 3D Coat does UVs because it has an algorithm that no other program has, which is called Global Unwrap. And it's something that the writer of 3D Coat accidentally stumbled upon. See, it's this right here. It's called Globally Uniform. Not Global Unwrap. It's Global Uniform Unwrap. I haven't seen it in any other program. It makes it so there is very, very little stretching when you do your UVs. And I'm going to be showing you that here shortly. So that's why I like to do UVs. But I like to clean up and organize my UVs over in Maya, usually. But you can do it anywhere you want, even inside of 3D Coat. So, okay, so I'm going to clear the seams. And that's going to just kind of show all of the mesh islands. Okay, and then I'm going to turn on the x-axis by hitting S and turning on the symmetry. Yeah, so many bits. So now that I have this, what you can do if you want right now is just hit unwrap, and it's just going to put everything into its own chunky, crappy islands, okay? And it's going to give you these really wonky, gross colors. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to unwrap one mesh island at a time, okay? So let's see. Okay, so we can start anywhere, honestly. It doesn't matter where we start. We can just start doing UVs. Okay, we're on 217. Looks like we got about 45 minutes. I think we can probably unwrap this guy in 45 minutes. We'll try. Okay. So I'm just going to unwrap this collar, and then you can, so what I'm doing, let me rewind this. Rewind. So I am in edge creation mode. So when no, Overton, you can't bring the poly groups back, but you can remake them again. So yeah, that's why polygroups are so temporary, and you end up remaking polygroups again and again for different reasons, or getting rid of them. Sorry, got off track again. Okay, so I'm assigning the UV edges, and I'm holding down Shift to assign the entire edge loop. Okay, and this is what it's going to look like when I hover over on the right hand side. Before I cut this next edge loop. So every time I cut a new island inside of that mesh, it's going to change the color. I love that because I can see if it's closed or not. It's automatically applying this checkered section, and I love that because I can see if it's stretching or not. Super cool. Now what you can do is hold down Shift and click again, and now this blue ring on the top. Now the white or gray color over on the right hand side, that is showing that there isn't any stretching or pinching. So you want to avoid stretching or pinching. You want your entire mesh to be gray, and that is exactly what just happened here. So now I can go inside of here and make another one, so that's all gray. But this one is being twisted because it's on the inside of that collar. There's no what I like to call relief cuts. It's not giving that band relief. It's trying to unwrap it in a way where it's twisting on itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cut right here, and now that's what it looks like, stretched all out. Okay. Yeah, hitting Control W will assign a poly group to anything that is showing or unmasked, or masked. I try to remember. I think it's masked. Okay, so let's continue with this. This chest piece. And what we can do is we can actually solo each one of these piece by piece. So I can figure out, so this is the chest piece now. And what I usually do is I hide it and then inverse hidden, and then clear my selection. And now I just have this piece that I can work on. Okay, so I'm just going to go through here and just select these rings. This one I might be able to keep. So I don't want to put too many cuts in here. I only want as many as I need, okay? So this ring looks good. This one is cut. And I don't want to make a whole bunch of rings either because they take up UV space. It's actually better to cut it back here and then straighten it out later in Maya or in here because it takes up less UV space. Like a circle inside your UV space will take up more room than a stick, I guess, or a straight piece. So I'm actually going to cut these rings. Okay, let's go around the inside of this and this, and I want to make sure the mirror is actually working. Okay, and then I'm going to cut, and you want to put your cuts up in hidden places if you can. Okay, like this one, rather than putting it down on the bottom here where you're not going to see it because his chainmail is going to be overlapping it, but I'm just for instruction purposes, I'm saying just put it up in the most hidey spot you can find. Okay, I'm going to do one more ring right here and then cut it. Now this one might be a little dangerous. I'm going to see what it looks like when I unwrap the main piece. Okay, so now what's really cool about 3D Coat is now that I have these edge loops, these UV edges selected, when I go to cut this shoulder in half, what I can do is when I hold down Shift, it's going to actually stop at the previously cut UV islands. Okay, it's not going to go all the way through. There's some other programs that'll just run that thing right through there, and you have to like select an edge, a single edge at a time. So that's super nice. So this is what it's looking like after it's unwrapped that, and I'm going to do another cut right here, and that should give me a front and a back, and that's looking pretty good. It kind of looks like a pelt, like and that's what some 3D programs actually call it when you unwrap something, is you're pelting it, because it's like taking a deer or something and pelting it, you know, taking the skin and stretching it out, which is super gross to think about, but that's how it works. Okay, so I want to try and see what happens. And this is what's really cool about 3D Coat, is it's going to give you a preview of what this piece is going to look like unwrapped, like this pelt, where you won't get that in other programs. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to test this ring. See this? I want to see if what you usually do with rings on the edges is you split them off, because you'll get these 90-degree angles, and 90 degrees really sucks when you're trying to do baking your maps. Okay, so since this ring is not quite a 90 degree, I want to delete this edge and see what it's going to look like. So it didn't change it much. Okay, so I'm going to delete that ring that I made and add it to part of the back. Okay, so it looks like I can just add it in. Again, the fewer the seams, the better. Okay, and I could extend this seam out one edge if I wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it like that. Your wife, Sean, your wife's concerned. Yeah, taxidermy. It's totally the real world equivalent to UV unwrapping. Absolutely. Especially, I remember showing my wife like UV'd faces, and we'll see with Sirloin's face what you're like, literally like cutting a line up the back of someone's neck and like grabbing it and going, you know, it's horrible. But you just want to get these flat, and because they're describing the texture space that you're going to fill later on. Okay, so now that we have this all cut up, we can now unwrap it and see all the parts. So we'll just hit unwrap again, and it's going to put all the parts over here, and you can see if they're stretching. Now these pieces, this one and this one, they have a tiny little bit of red in there, but not too much to be concerned about. Nothing like this red or this blue. That's what you want to avoid. But something in the middle, like these, you know, these pieces are all looking pretty good. But you can see how much space these rings take up in your UV space. So I'm actually wanting to, but this one's flat. I don't want to cut it because cutting this and straightening it out isn't going to do you any good because it's just sitting on the flat on the top like a bottle opening or something like that. The ones you want to cut are the ones on the inside like this piece. So it'll actually like undo. Shoom. Donna, that's hilarious. Yeah, Red Dead Redemption skinning, that's crazy stuff. Okay, so the thing that kind of one of the only things that bugs me about 3D Coat is if you select any of the islands over here, you always have to go all the way over here and hit clear selection, which is another step. It drives me crazy, but it is what it is. So, okay, so now I'm going to unhide all and bring them back, and then we're going to work on the next section. So let's work on these pauldrons. And what you can do with these pauldrons is you can hover over them and you can kind of see the shape that UV island is in, okay? And then you can kind of get an idea of where they are over here. So it's these two. So I'm going to grab these two, hide them, invert hidden, and then hit clear selection, and now we have these two that we can work on. Okay? Okay, so now I'm going to show you, I want to cut a ring around this, but you can see how it's continuing up the side, and I don't want that necessarily. So I want to put in some edge loops to make that edge, the UV cut line stop, okay? See how it's going all the way up, and I'm pretty sure it's going around the top too, yep. I don't want that, okay? I just want it to stop right here at this corner. Well, you can put stopper edges in there, so I can put one here, and I can put one here, and what that's gonna do, well, it should have, well, I can put one here, and that'll stop when I hit shift, and I don't know why it's not doing it. That's supposed to stop the edge loop cut right at this line. That's weird. Put the seam on its it puts the lotion. So this one worked. Okay, this one worked. Oh, you know why? Because it's wrapping all the way around and going around the backside and looping in on itself. That's why. So I would have to put another stopper here to make it. There, that's why. Okay. I'm like, why isn't it working? Okay. So now I'm going to cut this bottom piece off, and I can clear that one out, and I can hover over this. Since it's on the inside of the pauldron, it can stretch a little bit because it won't be seen as much as the outside. Okay. So yeah, thanks, Sean. I just caught that. Okay, but this one will need, we're gonna cut this off right here and off right here and put this band around, and this one looks pretty good. It's got a little bit of red in the center, but that's okay, not too bad. And I could include this with this wrap around right here. Let me undo those two creases. You can kind of see if I put a relief cut here and over here, it might, yeah, it's not quite giving me enough. Maybe one right there. That's not bad. That's not bad. So what you kind of do is you unfold it like a box. That's another way of thinking about unfolding, is if you ever see a cereal box or just a cardboard box hasn't been put together yet, it's just all flat. And if you think about it like that, like for example, these cuts are getting too tight and too pinched right here, so you want to let them loose, let them free. So like this tip and these, and that will make it so I won't have an edge right here, which is great because when I do the matte baking, it's going to be much easier to get a cleaner bevel along the edge of this piece. Okay, if I were to go in and add another cut like this, it's going to put that beveled edge on two different UV islands, where in between it might cause some grief, and it's harder to fix the problems if it's on two separate islands. That's why you want to, if you can, keep them connected. Okay, so yay, learning. All right, so with this we can unwrap it again, and that should put all the pieces over there. You can see them. There are right here and right here. There's a little bit of blue in here and a little bit of red around there. That's totally fine. Okay, now I'm going to unhide all, and we can do the next section here. Okay, so let's grab this one, hide, invert, hidden, clear. And once, if I wasn't talking right now, this process goes quite fast. Okay, so now there's another one, so that one's done. So you can see that it's just done. I don't have to hit unwrap after every single thing, like I'm doing. Like I've been doing the piece and then hitting unwrap, so you could. I was just doing that so you guys could see it. Okay, so unhide all. Go to the next piece. Let's do this skirt piece. That's this one. Okay, hide, invert, hidden, clear. Now this one is a little trickier. Let's see. I probably could have removed this poly loop right here. I still might. So I'm gonna actually make a UV seam around both sides of this ring, because I might delete it in the low resolution mesh. I shouldn't have that there. It's not necessary. Yeah, Sean, I could, and I do a lot of times. I was just talking about stacking the rivets. So you can see all these little rivets right here. I'm going to stack all of those together so they take up just one bit of UV space, and that way I can scale them up. So yeah, it's a great question, and I will be if I can. It depends on how unique I want to be with the symmetry across the board. So now, since this the UV islands, oh, that's interesting. Clear. It's because I selected one of these rivets. Okay. So since these are all going to a corner, I'm holding down Shift, but I can only select 2 edges at a time. So I have to kind of walk all the way around these. And it's kind of fun to see the preview because it's like slowly unwraps. But it's not going to fully unwrap. And see, check that out. It looks like 2 weird eyes from a creature. But it's not going to fully unwrap until I put a cutscene up like this. And even then, it looks like I missed some. Looks like right down here I didn't do my cuts. So it's still connected. So let's finish that off. There we go. And that's what the piece looks like. So now it's really nice and gray, like a light gray. That's what we want. Now these pieces, they're on the back side, so I need to think about this, because I might actually redo this a different way. What I was going to do is I was going to do relief cuts on this piece on the back, like on the side and the side like this. If you guys can see that, I can't point to it, but right there, it's you can see that I put the relief cuts there, but it's still kind of red. Let me see what happens if I do it on the inside too. Yeah, I probably won't do it on the inside, just the outside. And then it starts to overlap. So that's going to be one that I'm going to have to go back into Maya or something and kind of push it out. A Marlboro for Final Fantasy. It all looks like skin. Okay, so what I'm trying to decide is if I want to have this internal edge be part of this outside piece, or if I want it to be part of the inside piece, or if I want to cut it off as a single strip all the way across, which I can do that as well. Or one more thing I could have done, and I don't know, is cut this in half right here and then move that edge along its normals. So then it's not giving a 90-degree edge. 90-degree edges like this are your enemy when you're going to bake maps, because what it does is it creates scallops where it will create kind of a whoop like in between every single point. It'll make this kind of whoopy map between the two of these. And if you have either a support edge going through here or something like that, it's a lot easier to manage those scallops. It's kind of a pain in the butt. But I think I'm just going to go, And I'm just going to put relief cuts on the back side like I started. And we'll just straighten this out in Maya. Boom. Whoops. I'm going to cut it right here. All right, I don't know why that's completely overlapping on itself. It's like spinning. I think because of the compression, it's like wrapping in on itself, like clear around. That's pretty crazy. So I think I want to do this in strips like this. It'll take me a bit, but I think it'll be better in the end. Gonna get a whoop whoop. Whoa. All right. Sometimes it gets tedious. Is that it? Okay. And then I need to undo these relief cuts that I put in. And that's why I really love 3D Coat, because it's telling me that, hey, this is not one island. There we go. See, now it's all orange until we get to here. All orange. Look at that strip. Okay. So now there's the inside, there's the outside. That'll work. And the strip's cut right there. That'll work. Okay. So let's undo, or not undo, unhide all. And let's do these legs, the leggings. That's just weird. I love some of the islands that it comes up with sometimes. It's just like, what? Okay, hide, invert, hidden, clear. Okay, now with this guy, I want to split it right here at this crotch line. And this crotch line is completely intentional when I built it to put a UV line here. Okay, then it makes kind of these Superman briefs that I can split down the side just like this. And then it just kind of unfolds like that. And it doesn't make it stretch very well, or stretch very much. Okay, so now this boot, I can cut it off right there, and I can run a seam right up the inside, the inseam, if you will, and then it'll kind of pull this apart. And you can see what it's doing there. It's kind of getting compressed quite a bit. You can see the red, especially around these bands, these belts. So I could cut those belts off if I wanted to. I'm trying to decide if I want to or not. I'm going to ask Brendon what he thinks. And sometimes some people will actually cut the UV islands apart based on their material makeup. Okay, so then they'll put all the leather in one area, all the cloth in another area of the UV space, and then that it just kind of makes it a little easier to deal with if all the the metals in one area, the leathers in another area. So I want to I want to make sure that I'm doing this how Brendon would do it. So I'm going to ask him about that. But usually I would just do it. I would just cut these lines like I'm doing now. Easy peasy. There's the bottom of the foot. Okay, I'm going to cut this spur off. So it's just this single thing, and then I'll cut it in half like this. More. No. There. And there. Okay. So now it's just kind of folding up right there. And I could probably make a relief cut here and here to pull that apart a little bit. That works. Okay. So now this boot, I could run a cut of the back to split it apart like this is what I usually do. So that's actually a pretty good unwrap right there. See, and you want to do as few lines as possible, as few seams as possible. It makes less sense now than it used to, or less, it means less now than it used to. So because back in the day, UV seams were very, very difficult to hide, but now they're really easy to hide with normal maps and projecting, because you're baking maps. You can hide, or you can just steamroll right over UV seams without them being very apparent anymore. But they still sometimes do cause grief, so you still want to try and hide them if you can. But it's not always possible. So just do your best. As few seams as possible. We're going to try that. Okay, so let's do unhide all. And let's do these hands. Well, I'm going to hit unwrap really quick. And just unwrap what we've done so far, so we can still see the islands that we have left to do. So we have these little guys still, so we can cut the hand off. And remember, in the hand lesson, if you've watched it, oh, did we lose? Okay. Uh-oh. I'm still here. Sorry, my internet isn't as good. I saw the little spinning ring. I'm like, oh no. Okay, so I'm back in my old place. I had CenturyLink, which it was like a gig up, and here I have Xfinity, which is 10 megs up. So I'm like going from a fire hose to like a coffee straw. So, okay. Sorry about that. Okay. So what I was saying was, this hand, as you if you recall, when I showed you how to retopologize your hand and how to run a seam down the fingers, I'm going to show you exactly why. Okay. So now if I hold down shift right here, boom, you can see how it cut the top and the bottom. So it instantly unwrapped that hand, and it looks pretty good. There's a little bit of issue down inside the fingers right there that we'll have to pull apart in Maya or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, looks pretty good. Okay. So now we have this leather strap, and I think I want to, with this one, I'm going to unwrap it in two pieces like this, because I just want to, just anticipating Brendon saying, yeah, let's unwrap them into pieces based on material. Okay, so let's see, this one is super red, and I'm trying to figure out why. Did it not get split? Also, I might split this down across here instead, because it's just a better cut right there. Okay, where looks like it's still having an issue. Can you guys see that white triangle right in there? That's really strange. I'm going to cut this piece off the front and see if I can get it, why it's still red. Okay, that's white. It might be because this piece up here is compressing it. Let's see if I can get it to behave. Okay, that's better. This is another good spot for a seam. Okay, that's better. And this is a little better. And I think this piece is being compressed down here. So there's that piece, there's that piece. I might make this one part of this lower. There we go. Yeah, this white triangle right here is really weird. I don't know what what's going on with that. But okay, I'm going to ask Brendon what he thinks about this this UV unwrap for this hand. We'll see if he wants to do based on material, based on, you know, the organization or not, the simplicity of it or not. Yeah, unwrap him into pieces. Do it. Okay, unhide all. There we go. And let's get to the head. This cowl thing. Where is it? Simon cowl. Okay, here we go. Hide, invert, hidden, clear. And this should be simple. We're just going to cut this piece off, slice it down the top. See what that looks like. Okay. Now this piece is a little trickier. And let's see what happens. Well, yeah, I think I'm going to cut the ring off the bottom and then cut it right up the top like this. It's getting some compression up in here. So I'm going to put 2 relief cuts, one right there and one on the other side. Okay. Okay, there we go. So there's the cowl unwrapped, the Simon cowl. Okay, so unhide all. And let's do the... That's already unwrapped. That's unwrapped. So let me do unwrap all. Okay, I think somebody was asking about how to unwrap something that's already been packed. Okay, or like how to straighten something, and you essentially just pick the single piece and just straighten it out. And what you can do over here is I want to show you these different unwrapping algorithms. So this LSCM, this is what Maya has. Let me see, ABF. Is it not doing it? I don't know why it's not doing it. But usually it kind of totally changes the way it's being unwrapped. There it goes. So maybe you can see this piece. I haven't done the cut lines in it yet, but you can try these different algorithms, global unwrap and LSCM. So LSCM and ABF, those are 2 common unwrap algorithms that are in other programs like Maya and 3D Studio Max. You can try in case global uniform isn't working for you. Okay, let's see. Hide, invert, hidden. Let's get this head done. The head is the trickiest part. Okay, what I usually do first is cut right along the lips. Actually, I want to go maybe one more line in. Yeah, right there. I didn't do these lips very good. So the lips, this line should ride on the apex of the lips on both the upper and the lower. But right now the lower, I have it too far in, and that's, I mean, it's not a killer, but it's not the best. Usually you want to try and have that line be the same apex on both sides. Okay, it was you, Angelo. Okay, yeah, you can just pick one of those islands and then try things to just that island without unwrapping the whole thing. Okay, now like I said in a previous live stream, is I think about the head again. I think about it like a box and how to unwrap a box. How would you unwrap it? And usually what I do is I think about the back of the neck being sliced, right, and then you're kind of filleting it apart, but then the top is like the lid of a box that comes up and off like this. So that's kind of what we're going to do with him. I'm going to put a line here as a starter because I don't want the line to go all the way down his face. And then I'll hold down shift and cut it like this. Okay, then I'm going to add this piece and then this piece. And this is another reason why I put poles on the corners of the front of the head and the back of the head. So I have spots to cut my UV lines, because that you can see over on the preview that that's starting to lift the top of the head off like a box and the back off like a box. Okay, so Now we can just kind of cut, let's see, it's going around here. And since I don't usually cut the nose off, but since he has such a gigantic nose, I think I'm going to have to. Poor guy, poor sirloin. Sorry, sirloin. I'm gonna have to chop his nose. And I'm actually gonna kick this back one loop and go up around it like this, rather than go up right here. Okay, so then we can cut the top and the bottom off. So there's the top and there's the bottom. I think that's okay. I accidentally add a seam right there. Okay, and then the same goes with the neck. I'm going to cut the neck off right here. So then it's just this piece. And then I'm going to put a relief cut in this chin right there to kind of relieve this area. And then cut his ear. I usually cut the ear off. This ear isn't too detailed, so it doesn't need it as much. Let's see. Sometimes you can just cut it into two pieces like this. Have the front and the back. It just depends on how detailed your ear is as far as how many pieces you'll need to cut it into. And then sometimes you can go right on the internal edge of that eye and make some eye holes on your fillet or whatever. And that helps too. So I think this is looking okay. It's just there's so much mass to the lower part of his face versus the upper part that it's kind of making it a little bit too pinched, more pinched than usual. That's why it's kind of red like that. So what I want to do is I'm just going to hit unwrap and see what it looks like. Okay, it's not too bad. Here's the head. So it's got, so the preview isn't perfect. So it's almost better to unwrap it and then look and see what it's really doing. So on the chin, it's being like expanded out, and on the nose, it's being compressed right through there. And that's actually pretty good. What a bunch of eye holes. So anyway, yeah, I actually, this is pretty good right here. I like it. I like it. But I think I'm going to add this piece to the upper part of the nose like that, because it was given some weird stretching and looking strange in there. Okay, now this mouth, the interior of the mouth, what I usually do is I do a cut line right around the corner that goes all the way through. So let's see. You can see the two poles in there. There's one pole here, one pole here. I'm going to just cut it in half like that. So now we have this and we have this. And what we can do is we can kind of stitch together down the center like this, just so they're combined together. See how the preview, both of those islands are now stuck together because I erased the UV seam in between them, just so they're connected, so they don't get lost in my UV layout. Okay, they're kind of stuck together. Okay, so now what we have, let's unhide all, and let's unwrap it and see what we have left. I know we have gums and teeth and that kind of stuff. Whoops. So see, here's the tongue, and it's trying to put everything together the best it can. That's his eye hole. There's teeth. I think that's teeth. Let's see what this is. Okay, and if you ever don't know what it is, you can just select those islands over here, and then you can just hit hide, invert hidden, and you'll see exactly what it is. Okay, so it's the two teeth and the tongue. That's what it is. So you can clear that. Did you press anything to add that square to the nose island, or did it do it automatically? It will do it automatically as long as you just you make the other cuts be gone, like just turn them off, like undo the cut, and then add the cuts on the other one. It'll just add it right in. It's really nice. So, ooh, this is problem. Okay, well, looks like when I did a mirror and weld on my tongue, it gave me this little weird island right here. So I'm gonna have to fix that and then bring it back in and unwrap it again. But let's see. I'm gonna grab the tongue and hide it. Okay, clear. Excuse me. Clear. Okay, so now we can, I'm just gonna cut the gums off of the teeth right here. Cut them away from the teeth, and that's kind of what it looks like. You can put relief cuts back here in the back, and that will help it a bit. And again, it's just like unwrapping a box. So you can see on the preview up there how just putting in those relief cuts kind of created a lid that's coming off the back of the back of the teeth. Unfortunately, Sean, you can't. I wish you could fix it in 3D Coat, but you can't. You have to go back to ZBrush, fix it over there, and bring it. Or maybe you can. I just don't know how. I use 3D Coat in a very limited way, and the limited way is UVs, retopology, and sometimes hand painted textures, and that is it. I really don't use it for anything else. You find it unbelievable that studios make the designers do all this grunt work instead of a dedicated team of interns or something. Well, it's funny that you say that, Overton, because towards the end of production, towards the end of Infinity 3, we actually did outsource all this stuff. So, and this is grunt work. I mean, this is taking away from like designing and making the next character, right? So, and this is essentially tedious work, you know. So, okay, let's unwrap this. But it's really, really good to know this stuff, because then you will understand what is required when making this. So, you know, you can speed up the production on the back end if somebody is going to be doing this. If somebody is going to be outsourcing this, they're not going to be cursing your name or anything like that. So, but honestly, I'll tell you right now, that rarely happens. The outsourcing rarely happens, or giving it to an intern rarely happens unless it's a gigantic studio that just has gobs of money. But usually that's part of the 3D character modeler's job, is to do this. And if you work at Pixar or something like that, your job even goes into rigging. So you'll build your character, you'll model it, you'll rig it as well. And with a Disney film, you don't have to rig it, but you have to do the entire model all the way to the finish. So ZBrush is just the first step, and you actually have to do a very, very nice high resolution Maya model for those characters. Yeah, at Pixar you do rig your own character. I know that for a fact. I have two friends that work there. Well, one still works there, one doesn't anymore. But yeah, they definitely rig their own characters. Okay, so let's clear this. Well, Overton, if you think about where modelers came from, so I've been doing this for 20 years, and the last, I would say 4 to 5 years, I've been using this high topology or high resolution workflow, where you make your high resolution model first and then you retopologize over top of it. And there are some people that still use traditional polygon modeling methods, and I will occasionally, but I mean, for the first 15 years, I was a polygon modeler. So I would just model characters with polygons and modeling tools, and then UV them myself and then hand them off to the rigger. So that the high resolution model with the baking step is just one extra kind of step in making these high resolution really nice characters. You know, that's kind of how you get next gen characters, is going through ZBrush and going through Substance. They're added steps to the old pipeline. So it's not like you're adding traditional poly modeling to the pipeline. It's actually adding the other stuff to it. So that's most likely why doing this kind of stuff still is around, and this is part of what you have to do as a modeler. Even though it's tedious, it's part of it. So especially if you want to get a job in games or film or stuff like that, it's just kind of part of it's almost like part of making toys. Well, for yourself, part of making toys is the mold making process. And yes, you can outsource the mold making process and give it to somebody who does it, but for a lot of toy makers, they will make their own molds, and that's an art into itself. And it's kind of the same with this tedious stuff. There's an art to this and a knowledge to this and stuff you have to know, and things that the company will pay you for if you know it, especially if you're doing indie development where they can't afford to hire an entire team of people. So you will have to wear several hats, if that makes sense. So you'll have to do the UVs, you'll have to do the rigging, you'll have to do the animation. When I first started out, I had to do them all. So I was like, I wasn't great at all of them, but I had to do them all because there was no one else there to do it. And so when I worked on my first game was Xena Warrior Princess for the Nintendo 64, and we had a team of 4 people, and each of those 4 people, it wasn't a modeler, an animator, a rigger, and an arena designer. It was, I would get a character and I would have to do the model, the texture, the rigging, the animation, the arena, and the entire fighting set, like the whole fight move. So I would be given one character and have to do all of it. But it sounds daunting because of the consoles that we have now. But if you look at like the Xena, I should pull it up. If you look at Xena Warrior Princess and what it looked like, it's like the phone games of today. Oh, get down here. Ugh. Gosh dang it. I hate that. Thanks, Windows. Okay, so let me see. N64. Let's see it come up. There we go. This is what it looked like, right? It was like this horrible, super incredible low poly. This is the worst video quality ever. But yeah, we would have to do the effects too. So the only thing we didn't do was the user interface. Can I do the Xena yell? No. Anyway, good times. Good times. So this part of it reminds me a lot of that, Yeah, total masterpiece. Oh, it got me in the door. That's the game that got me in the door. So I owe a lot to that game. Okay, so unhide all. So we're essentially done with him except for the tongue as far as our UVs. So what we're going to do is, let me do unwrap one more time. And it's probably not going to do anything. And I just wanted to show you how I would share the rivets, okay? So basically you just start with one of them, like this one, and you would hit copy, and then we'll use this one and you hit paste. And that's going to paste it. So copy, Control C, and then click on here, Control V. And you would just do that for all of them. And it's stacking them in a big old stack like a deck of cards. And then what's cool about that is I can grab them all and scale them up so they'll get more texel density, so they'll get more texture resolution on them, which is pretty sweet. And I don't know of any other program that can. I keep pointing that out, but 3D Code is the only program that I know of that can do that. But I think because you can stack UVs inside of Maya, but it doesn't do it like this. It doesn't just snap it all down there like that. There's a faster way? I'm sure there is, Sean. You know this way better than I do by now. What's the faster way? Select them all? Tell me. Copy, paste, boom. So, Sean, I do have a question for you. How do I select the entire stack now? That's the thing I don't know. Is how because there isn't a box selection. It's only selecting one. I don't know how to select the stack because I want to select that stack and then scale it. If you can tell me how to do that, that would be amazing. Also, I want to select all but one, move them to the side, scale the one you want, and then select all and copy paste. Okay, so yeah, I can do that. So let me grab. You can't select the whole stack? I'm gonna ask the 3D Coat peeps, see if they can put it in there. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. And it's gonna get red because it's comparing itself and its textile density to the rest of everything. So we can make this one big. There's got to be a way to select the stack, but I've never been able to. Super. I was hoping you'd have the answer to that. Oh, hey, what's up, Tunamator? If you go to the top left under brush, top left under brush. Where? Oh, no. Cancel. Under brush. I don't know. Oh, that's moving around. Select not sure if the sensor's a bit. You can select the square lasso if you want to select multiple. I've seen that before. Oh, is it like, oh, right here. Okay, so this is like your selection type right here. Got you. Okay, so now, well, I switched to brush for some reason up here. I'll go back to faces, maybe islands. Okay, we're gonna do this. Boom. Did it do it? There you go. It's really small. Okay, awesome. Copy. And then, yeah, there's a 20-second delay, and I'm sure you're like, ugh. Paste. There it is. Okay, we got it. Hooray, Sean and Tunamator, thank you. Okay, so I learned something new today. I learned that that's possible. That's cool. And go back to brush. Okay, then clear selection. There, now all of our rivets are stacked in this one big stack, and I've increased the size of those rivets. So when, now we won't want to bake all of the rivets to that stack because it'll just make a jumbled mess. What we'll want to do, and I don't know if 3D Coat has this or not, but you can take all of that stack except for one of those rivets and move it off to the next UV coordinate. And then, because you don't want to ever bake onto stacked UVs, because it will make some anomalies. It's trying to bake either it'll be baking two high-res things to one low-res low, or yeah, something like that, and just make a mess. So you'll just want to not delete one, but shift it over to the next UV coordinate, so then it's not baking to that space. Okay, so next episode, next Wednesday, what we're going to do is we're going to take these UVs, well, I'm going to fix the tongue and UV the tongue, but we're going to take these UVs over into Maya, and we're going to straighten out all of the UVs that we can straighten, and then organize them inside of Maya, or maybe even Blender, we'll see. But we're going to organize them inside of a different program and straighten them up and get them looking super duper nice, and then we'll be ready to go into Substance Painter, the thing that everybody's been waiting for. So thank you everyone for your patience. I can't wait to get there myself. Brendon's going to help us out with that, so I'm super stoked. Anyway, thanks guys, and we will see you. I'm going to try to do another stream on Friday, a Friday Q&A session. So we will see you then, and thanks for hanging out. Take care, guys, and thanks for your tips, Tunamator. It's been awesome. Yay for learning something new. Awesome. All right. Well, take care.